walking from Chicago to our nation's capital to raise awareness about violence in the city has made it to Valparaiso, Indiana. Demetrius Nash hit the pavement on Friday. He says he's tired of the poverty and gun violence.
Unlike a lot of people, I was protesting and speaking out for the community all while on federal probation. I did 8 years incarcerated in the federal system. So I'm different. You know, a lot of people, I'm really fighting for my friends that I lost. I'm really fighting for their kids, some of their kids then have been murdered, and then some of them have been killed. You know, so, and I'm looking to prevent too, because a lot of times we look at things and we always reacting instead of being proactive. And so when God gave me the vision and gave me the mandate that I was going to literally walk from Chicago to the White House, during my incarceration, every Saturday I would fast and pray. My last 4 years of incarceration, and I would drink or eat for about 20 hours. And in that time, I didn't even call it prayer. I really called it a conversation with God. So if you do that in your worst hour, you're going to do that in your best hour. And I was reading from the Quran and the Bible. And in the Quran, it speaks of the month of Ramadan, which is getting closer to God. And in the Bible, it speaks of, you know, when times are hard in your life, biblical times, it was plagues and famines and stuff like that. They would fast. So I was at the worst moment of my life and in jail, and I wanted to get closer to God. So that's why I started fasting and praying. So that's all. If I have a problem in the world now that I'm free, I just know to fast and go to God. We got to learn to respect our elders more. You know, a lot of times the reason why we don't get a lot of results is because we don't have the respect that we should in our community for our elders. So that means the life lessons and teachings and the proper grooming is not being passed down from one generation to the next. And so every generation in the black community starts over instead of starting from where the last generation left off. And that's a position of power. When you have to start over, that's a position of weakness. So I feel like personally for me, is for me to reach out to our elders, and it's not for them to always come to us. They older, their bodies is failing as far as getting older, and they can't jump, run, and fight the way they used to, but their mind is sharp. And when you think about we're fighting a war, we're in the army, the generals are the older, and they're strategic, and they've been there, they've been on the battlefield, so they know what to do. And then the youngsters, like such as myself, we have the body to execute it. So it has to be a bridging of the gap, of the intergenerational gap. A lot of our elders, they not engaged in the youth, and they not even being made aware of what's going on. So everything could be done better in hindsight, but at the same time, power doesn't relinquish any power besides power. So the thing about it, you just have to. It was needed, and it's a lot of stuff that's needed in our community, but it's always a better way to do it. So I lead with a lot of love and respect. Sometimes you go in these rooms, and certain people who's been in those rooms for 30-40 years, look at how our community has gone down, whether it be a pastor, whether it be a street person, whether it be a politician. Y'all been going in the same room with the same people for 30-40 years, and our community been going down. But you have mega churches, you have politicians that come around when it's political season, but we never see them again. And that's what I've been asking. My whole thing is with anybody, with everybody, it's like, okay, these same politicians is coming in, but are they going to come back? And I'm asking them, like, whether you win or lose, will you come back? You know the problems. Y'all have the resources. Man, you know this thing is about power. J.B. Pritzker and them have already spent like $60-70 million on this governor race for a job that only paid like $170,000. What sense does that make? it doesn't make sense. It has to be something else that's driving people to want to spend upwards of $100 million to get a position that's $170,000 a year. Sometimes I feel like integration was wrong. I think we dropped the ball on that, because before integration, we knew our enemy, and we also had ownership of our land. You look at things, and I hope your listeners would research. You Google Black Wall Street, and here was a whole side of a town in Oklahoma that was destroyed based on whites not liking that blacks were successful. Another thing, I feel like the civil rights movement was our movement. Like, it was strictly for black people. I feel like they didn't water down civil rights and minorities. They didn't water down all the fighting we did in civil rights with minorities. So now a white woman can be a minority, and I don't get them parts. And then you look at how the government says 30% of contracts, all governmental contracts, has to go to minorities, and you look at the majority of the contracts are being given to white women. So you got to look at, we fought, but right now what I would do is, I think the biggest piece right now is that intergenerational gap and filling it. I really believe that we need to get back to respecting our elders, but also our elders got to get back to respecting us. Our elders are holding on to the torch until they about to die. Like it's getting prehistoric in our leadership, and there's nobody to step up and say, well, this is the ones that's gonna do it. I took my position. The walk went against everything they say about a black man in America, especially an ex-felon. I was supposed to been back in jail. What I want to replace guns with hammers is to the streets. Replace guns with hammers is, I'm aimed at 18 to 25-year-old men that have guns in their hands and hopelessness in their eyes. Young men that right now may be smoking a blunt, got lean, got a gun. Really replacing the gun with a construction hammer. Going on their block, rehabbing buildings on their own block, in their own community, so that I love them where they at and build them up to where I want them to be. I'm not speaking at them, I'm speaking with them. I'm asking them questions. And so, with unique problems, we have unique solutions. So my hopes is just to get the first one, because I need a success right now. Just get the first property and get some young men to work. And it all took time. Like, some people was asking me, like, well, what happened? Well, you have to think. I did a walk that I thought was going to be 30 days. It ended up being 53. Me and 3 other men on the journey. Everything's on me. Food, shelter, clothing. These men gave up their livelihoods. I walked off my job, so I'm paying bills. I'm paying phone bills. I'm making sure that everybody's all right. And we enjoying ourselves. We made it a big adventure. And so that's where the monies went. And now I'm getting in the rooms, and that's what it was all about. It was always about completion, because they say black people start a lot of things and don't complete nothing. But then it was always about the return, the planning, getting with us, our generation, making a plan. What is the black agenda? We wake up every day with no agenda, especially here in Chicago, from music to fashion. We got a lot of individual success, but our village is dying. It's a word that's Godfidence. And what Godfidence means to me is that as long as God in it, you should have the confidence that it's going to be okay. And you're going to be successful. As long as you put God in your life. And so, man, I don't fear anyone. I don't fear a man. I don't fear goals. And I read a quote while I was on the walk, and it said, make a plan so big that if God isn't in it, it would truly fail. So that's really what I would love to leave people with.